It'll be the end of your NFL Sunday, but it'll be the biggest one all day. The Texans hosting the Motor City Kitties. The nearly invincible Detroit Lions are coming to town. How can Houston pull up the Battle Red upset? Debuting those new uniforms, maybe getting a big win against the Lions. How do the Lions stay on a roll and continue their impressive streak of dominance this season? Who's ultimately going to win? I'll tell you right now, powered by my friends at BetUS. How do the Texans get this done? Let's start defensively, and then we can talk about the tough task the Texans have offensively. Defensively for the Texans, obviously you've got to pressure Jared Goff. This is one of the most accurate and efficient quarterbacks that the Texans are going to play all season long. If you can get Jared Goff moving around, off base, out of sync, and keep him uncomfortable, that will help stymie some of this impressive passing offense that the Detroit Lions have. They've got a ton of weapons through the air. Amon-Ra St. Brown is fantastic. Jamison Williams is a burner that can get deep, and Sam Laporta is one of the better tight ends in all of football. Plus, they'll dump it out to those running backs every now and then and give them an opportunity to catch the ball and run around with it. So you've got to make things uncomfortable for Jared Goff. And when he does get completions, you've got to tackle really well. He's a take what the defense gives him type of quarterback. Well, when the defense gives you 3 yards, you've got to make sure that it stays at 3 yards. You can't have catches turning into 5, 6, 8, 10 yards because you didn't tackle well or you weren't in position to take advantage of one of those short passes that Goff can complete against this Texans defense. You're going to have to make sure that Jalen Petrie and the safeties don't get beat up a little bit in coverage matchups here. We saw the New York Jets exploit Jalen Petrie in coverage late in the game with Devontae Adams. I'd anticipate that the Lions will be ready to try something similar with Amon-Ra St. Brown and some of their other wide receiver options and pass catching options, just to kind of really poke and prod to see if Petrie is going to be inclined to give up another one. And as well, you've got to be sound against this run game. Look, they've got 2 running backs. They don't have special setups for these running backs. Gibbs doesn't only go outside. He can run between the tackles. Vice versa. Montgomery doesn't only go in between the tackles. He can go outside as well. They trust both their backs to run the full complement of the offense. So you've got to be ready for anything when those running backs are in there. And the Texans have had some impressive moments against solid rushing attacks over the course of this season. We think back to Jonathan Taylor earlier this season, though Taylor got going in the second matchup against the Texans. But I also think about Josh Jacobs, where he had one really good drive, and the Texans kind of held him in check throughout the rest of the game as well. It's not going to be an easy task. Ben Johnson is one of the best offensive play callers in all of football, the Lions offensive coordinator. He's going to have this offense fired up and ready to go. It will not be easy to slow them down, but if the Texans can do some of those things, the defense will have done their job. Offensively, you know where I'm starting. Protect C.J. Stroud. Whatever the offensive line setup is, they've got to protect C.J. Stroud better than they have the previous 3 weeks. And if you can get him protected, you can give him an opportunity to showcase some of the stuff that he did early in the season, where this team was one of the best passing offenses in all of football. Nico Collins, got to have a big game from him, but someone else as a pass catcher has to step up. Could this finally be the Dalton Schultz game? Get the tight end involved. He helps out the passing attack. Kind of feels like there could be someone else stepping up in addition to Nico Collins. And of course, Joe Mixon's got to be excellent. Joe Mixon has got to be able to put the team on his back for stretches in this game. That's how the Texans can get the thing going on the ground. And if they could do all of that and get a little lucky, take advantage of a turnover or some field position, the Texans can win this football game. You can bet on this football game at BetUS. My friends at BetUS give you a ton of different ways to wager on this thing. I like the over in this matchup. I feel like this could be similar to Tampa last year, up and down the field, both offenses taking care of business. And so when you like the over, you kind of like that both of these quarterbacks are going to be slinging the ball around. A little 3-leg parlay for us in this one. How about 50 bones to go over 200 on this little three-legger? That's as easy as it is at BetUS. And you can get in with the code YouTube150 to get a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Use that code YouTube150 when you get signed up. How do the Motor City Kitties, how do the Detroit Lions win this one? Well, this one's kind of a keep it simple, stupid thing for the Detroit Lions. You don't do too much. You get some pass rush on the Texans. It doesn't matter who's been pass rushing the Texans. You have been able to get to C.J. Stroud. So a unimpressive Detroit Lions pass rush, if they can just get something out of their guys, particularly on the interior line with former Houston Texans defensive tackle DJ Reader, then they could disrupt a lot of what the Texans do. Joe Mixon has had some big games, but he's also had some big games where it's only been a portion of the game that he has dominated. You think back to the Jets game, Mixon was really good in the first half, not so good in the second half. If the Lions can contain Mixon's success to stretches of the game and keep it from being a full game thing, that's obviously going to be a way that you can stop and slow down the Texans. And another thing on defense is don't give the Texans more opportunities. So if they get in a 3rd and long, don't give them a penalty to give them a fresh set of downs and give them another chance. If you give C.J. Stroud enough chances, C.J. Stroud's going to make you pay. So the Detroit Lions can't give the Texans more opportunities with penalties on defense. And they got to kind of make sure that those corners that they've got, who've both allowed a passer rating over 90 this year when targeted, don't end up being a bigger issue than they have. Look, the Lions have allowed a lot of passing success because they've gotten up big on opponents and they're forced to pass the ball against the Lions. So the numbers don't totally tell the story in those safeties. Joseph and Branch have got to make some big plays for the Lions, and they'll be well on their way to slowing down the Texans defensively. Offensively, again, do what you do. Dictate to the Houston Texans how things operate. We watch across the league, good offenses and great offenses go in there and dictate to the opposing team exactly how you're going to operate. You're going to have to stop us. We're going to control the game, and that's what Ben Johnson needs to do with his offense. Jared Goff at quarterback, Gibbs and Montgomery at running back, the various weapons that they have from a pass-catching standpoint. Don't let the Texans decide how you play. You run your plays. You keep the train on schedule. You get the ball out of the hands of Jared Goff, so the pass rush for the Texans doesn't affect him, and you can find yourself in a position to win this game if you are the Detroit Lions. So that's how the Lions win. Who is going to win on this one? I got to tell you, all week long, I've thought the Lions are going to come in here. They feel invincible. They feel like they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL right now, even though they're not a perfect record like the Chiefs. They're playing better than the Chiefs. They're dominating teams. They're blowing guys out. And all week long, I would have picked the Lions. And then Friday came around and Nico Collins was back at practice. And I kept thinking in the back of my head, C.J. Stroud's talked about, we got to have fun again. We got to have fun again. And I think one of the comments that was made from another member of the Texans this week was, you know what fun really is? Fun really feels like winning. You got to have fun again. You got to have that moment where C.J. Stroud's hitting the pose when he hits a big play to Nico Collins. And I feel like the Texans and Texans fans are going to have a lot of fun on Sunday Night Football. 33-31. Houston Texans pull the upset on the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football. The Lions are due for a stinker. They're due to not look invincible. Remember, Drago was unbeatable until Rocky made him bleed. The Lions will bleed, and just like Rocky IV, the Houston Texans will get the win, just like Rocky Balboa did against Ivan Drago at the end of Rocky IV. If I can change, you can change. We can all change, and we can all bet at BetUS. My friends at BetUS want you to use that code YouTube150 when you get signed up for a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. What say you? Rocky IV, Texans pull off the upset. Let me know in the comment section down below. Throw me the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Happy football to you all day long. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.